Chapter 71, Inside Zhangtai Palace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fine. I will pay attention to Zhao Feng from time to time and let you know as soon as I have news about him. Wu Lizheng said with a smile. Mother and daughter Zhao naturally thanked her profusely. Wait until Wu Li is leaving. Mom, you can rest assured now. Brother is in the logistics army and is very safe. Zhao Ying said with a smile. As long as he can come back safely, anything is fine. Ms. Zhao also smiled. They were relieved to hear the news about Wu Lizheng. Mom, you go back to the house and rest. Leave the herbal matters to me. Zhao Ying said to her mother with a smile. Yes. Mrs. Zhao nodded and said nothing more. Now she has thoughts about it. In 1 year, her son will be able to go home. Xianyang. A mansion located very close to the palace. Wang Yan, wearing a black and red dress, slowly stepped out of the carriage, and at the door of the house, a middle-aged woman walked quickly. Yenner, you are finally back. Mom has been worried about you for a long time. Come here, prepare the meal. Seeing Wang Yan coming out of the carriage, the middle-aged woman shouted very happily. Wang Yan walked over slowly, bowed to her mother, and then called out, Mother. It'll be good to come back, it'll be good to come back. Mrs. Wang grabbed Wang Yan's hand and pulled her towards the mansion. Wang Yan looked up at the prince's mansion on the mansion, and watched herself step by step into the door, with a bitter smile in her heart. I tried my best to change, and after running away for so long, I finally came back unable to resist. But after all, I changed a little and gave myself to the person I promised. Daqin Palace, Zhangtai Palace. Start the memorial, Your Majesty. The daughter of General Wang Jian has returned to Xianyang. A man dressed in tight clothes and covering his face reported to Ying. In the palace, Ying paused while handling the memorial. His expression did not change at all. He just waved his hand and replied softly, Yes. For a general in command, having troops outside is naturally something to be feared. For a king, even if he trusts, he must guard against it. Wang Jian mobilized troops, with his son by his side and his daughter by his side. All of this is naturally under the supervision of the great Qin Umbu He Bingtai. The infiltration of Black Ice platform took hundreds of years, so one can imagine how powerful this intelligence department is. Heibingtai has focused on exploring the country of Zhao. Now the structure of the Zhao kingdom's court has been clearly defined. After Zhao Yan succeeded to the throne, he made his former close attendant Guo Kaifeng the prime minister and a prostitute as the queen. On that day, the king sent Zhao Yi, the former prince of Zhao, back to the kingdom of Zhao. Although he made some moves, he was still defeated by Zhao Yan in the end. Now he has been completely suppressed by Zhao Yan. Although he is in charge of the Zhao kingdom's clan, he has no chance of becoming the king of Zhao. Wei continued to report to Ying. Zhao Yi. Originally, Gu put him back just to distract Zhao Yan and make him worry about Zhao's country. It's just that Zhao Yi is not capable. What a pity. Ying also sighed. The king's plan was not completely unfulfilled. After all, Zhao Yan was the former crown prince of the Zhao kingdom, and he was the orthodox one. However, Zhao Yan's accession to the throne was much discussed in the Zhao kingdom. Although he suppressed Zhao Yan, he did not dare to kill Zhao Yan. And 2 of the 3 generals in charge of the Zhao kingdom support Zhao Yi, Lian Pe and Li Mu. And the prime minister appointed by Zhao Yan, Guo Kai, is even more greedy for money and is of no use to Zhao. Now Zhao state seems to be peaceful, but in fact there is an undercurrent. Furthermore, this time when our great Qin launched troops against South Korea, Zhao did not make any move from beginning to end. This is because the king put Zhao Yi back and added fuel to the flames of Zhao, leaving him no chance. He said weakly and respectfully. Zhao Yan inherited the throne by means. If he wants to calm down the dissent in his country, he must do it in the name of expanding his territory. As long as he dares, Gu will dare to attack Zhao. However, this is not in the near future. Gegu will pay close attention to the situation in Zhao. If there is any news, report it directly to Yugu. Zheng said to Dun Rui in front of him. Please rest assured, Your Majesty. I will always pay close attention to it. Dun Rui said respectfully. There is no change in Zhao State, but what about Wei State? Wei Wuji is not a simple person. Zheng asked. Wei Wuji is indeed not simple. He sent people to the state of Zhao many times to ask Zhao State to send troops to aid Korea. He responded sideways, but Zhao Yan did not agree at all, so Wei Wuji sent people to the state of Chu to look for Huang Xia. He asked for help, but was rejected. After all, our relationship with the Chu state is not bad now, Dun Rui immediately reported. Wei Wuji. He is a smart man and can naturally understand the current situation, but after all, it is not something he can change. Zheng smiled lightly. Your Majesty. Yesterday, I have received the news that our great Qin warriors have surrounded Han capital. Maybe we will receive good news soon. Dun Rui reported with some excitement, just then. Start the memorial, Your Majesty. The eldest son. Xiangbang. Young mansion, the ministers are asking for an audience outside the palace. Zhao Gao bowed and quickly walked into the hall to report. Zheng didn't say anything, but just glanced at Dun Shi, who immediately understood. He bowed to Zheng and quickly walked towards the back hall. A weak existence, it was a secret for the Qin dynasty. Except for Zheng, no one else had ever seen his true appearance. Even Zhao Gao, a close attendant, only knew the existence of the mysterious man Dun Rui, but he didn't know what he did, because he was always dismissed from the meeting. After Dun Rui left, Zheng looked at Zhao Gao and uttered a word, announce. Zhao Gao bowed and immediately turned his head to the outside of the hall and shouted, the king has an edict to summon all ministers to the hall to meet him. Responded, led by Fusu, Wang Wan, Li Si, Wei Liao, Meng Yi, Feng Quji, Jinghua and other important officials of the Qin dynasty all walked into the hall. I pay my respects to the king. All the ministers entered the hall and bowed to Zheng. No. Zheng waved his hand and his eyes fell directly on Wei Liao, all the nobles. It seems to be a happy event. Your Majesty is wise. I just received an urgent report from the general. Please read it, Your Majesty. Wei Liao took out a military report that had not been opened from his arms. Zhao Gao immediately bowed, walked up quickly, took the report, and quickly presented it to Zheng. You know it's a happy event before you open it. Zheng looked at the unopened military report in his hand and smiled faintly. If it wasn't a victory report, why would the general send it so anxiously? Wei Liao smiled very confidently. Zheng smiled slightly and opened the military report in his hand directly. It caught his eye. When he saw the first sentence of the military report, Zheng's eyebrows showed a touch of joy. P.S. Please recommend, please vote, please monthly vote, please read, thank you. Chapter 72, Handu has been conquered. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first sentence. Han's capital has been destroyed. Just seeing this sentence, Zheng's eyebrows were full of joy. The destruction of Han's capital is equivalent to the destruction of Han. The road to the east of Qin has been opened. It's really good news. It seems that Han will be destroyed. Seeing the joy between Zheng's eyebrows, the ministers in the hall immediately understood. Those who can stand in this hall are all important ministers of Qin. Each of them is a smart person, and they know how to read people's expressions. Zheng did not put down the military report, but continued to read it, and this time, Zheng's expression was more and more surprised. The general who broke the city, Captain Zhao Feng, made the first contribution to breaking the city. Behead Han's new general Cao Yi, behead Han's prime minister Zhang Ping. It's him again. After reading the military report, Zheng's face also showed a touch of surprise. After Qin launched an attack on Han, which name appeared most in front of Zheng? It was not Wang Jian, not Li Teng, but Zhao Feng who appeared again in this military report. Since he started out as a logistics officer, he was transferred to the main battle camp. Now he is shining again. It seems that my great Qin is really blessed by heaven, and has given me such a brave general. Zheng smiled in his heart and calmed down, then he looked at the ministers in front of him. The general reported that the capital of Han has been destroyed. Zheng smiled slightly and said to the ministers in front of him, the voice fell, the ministers in the hall looked at him with excitement, and immediately bowed to Zheng, congratulations to the king. Han is the weakest country among all the countries. Over the years, my great Qin has been encroaching on its territory, and it is no surprise that it is now destroyed. Although the capital of Han has been destroyed, there is still one thing that Li Teng has not explained to me. Zheng said slowly. The ministers changed their colors slightly, but Wei Liao immediately stood up and asked tentatively, "May I ask your majesty, is it because of the king of Han?" "You can read it yourself." Zheng waved the military report in his hand, and Zhao Gao beside him immediately picked it up and presented it to Wei Liao. The latter opened it and looked at it immediately. His expression changed from calm to surprised, and then he frowned again when he saw the end. Xuanhuan and other ministers focused their attention on Wei Liao. "Your Majesty. Even if the king of Han really escaped from the capital of Han, he would definitely not be able to escape from the territory of Han. With the fall of the capital of Han, the surrounding areas of the capital of Han are all the elite soldiers of our great Qin. Even tens of thousands of soldiers and horses cannot fight their way out, let alone the fleeing king of Han. As long as General Li intensifies the search, the king of Han will definitely be found." Wei Liao said seriously. Since the king of Han dared to flee, he naturally thought of a way to deal with the search. If he really escapes, it will be a disaster for our great Qin. If he escapes to Zhao State and the king of Zhao mobilizes troops in his name, then our great Qin will not be at peace when it occupies the territory of Han State. Li Si said with a serious face. Hearing Li Si's words, Xuanhuan and others also became serious. "Father. If the king of Han escapes, there will be endless disasters. I have a suggestion." Fusu stood up. Although he looked young, he was very confident. "Speak." Zheng glanced at his eldest son and also revealed a kind of expectation. Now Fusu is already 14 years old, and Zheng is also focusing on training him. "I think that the king of Han fled because he wanted to kill him. He might have expected that after the Qin captured him, the father would kill him. He wanted the king of Han to show up. As long as the father issued an edict stating that as long as he surrendered, the father would treat him with grace, I believe the king of Han would definitely show up." Fusu said earnestly. Unexpectedly, after he said this, Zheng's original expectations disappeared, and a hint of disappointment flashed across his face. Xuanhuan's expression changed, and he was a little uneasy. "This matter. The general should handle it properly. He will capture the king of Han without my urging. Wei Qin, once the general has news, you will report it to me immediately." Zheng ignored Fusu and looked at Wei Liao and said, "I understand." Wei Liao immediately accepted the order, but at this time, seeing that his father did not adopt his strategy, Fusu was puzzled and said, "May I ask, father, is it that my son's strategy is not good? If it is the ministers and officials of Han, it is fine to promise them grace and treat them generously, but the king of Han is the king of a country. For him, the so-called grace of surrender is comparable to the hatred of losing his country." Zheng glanced at Fusu, and finally told the reason in a teaching tone. As soon as these words fell, Fusu's face changed slightly, and after thinking for a moment, he bowed to Zheng and said, "I understand." Zheng nodded, and did not say anything more. "Prime Minister. I am here." Xuanhuan responded immediately. Although Fusu is a disciple of Qin, he is still lacking in government affairs. You still need to teach him more. Zheng looked at Xuanhuan again and said, "Please rest assured, my king. It is my duty to teach the eldest son. I will do my best to teach him so that the eldest son can help the king as soon as possible." Xuanhuan said immediately. "Wei Qin. You have also read the military report. The first merit of breaking through the capital of Han is Zhao Feng, beheading the new general of Han, and beheading the prime minister of Han. In your opinion, how should the title be promoted?" Zheng looked at Wei Liao again and asked. Reply, Your Majesty. The merit of breaking through the city is the first merit, and those with the rank of Due and above can be promoted by 1 level and 2 levels, but... Wei Liao replied respectfully. But what? Zheng stared at Wei Liao. I think it's better to reward the meritorious officers after Han is completely pacified. Wei Liao said with a smile. Zhao Feng. Is it the Zhao Feng who transferred from the logistics army to the main battle camp? Li Si asked with interest. As soon as this was said, others' eyes also gathered on Wei Liao. If it was other generals in the army, perhaps people would not remember him so clearly, but Zhao Feng was completely different. On that day in the court, a logistics soldier killed General Han and made a great contribution. It is hard not to remember this matter. It can be said that Zhao Feng's name has been remembered by many ministers in the court. It's him. Wei Liao said with a smile. Is this Zhao Feng really so powerful? He won the first merit in breaking the city. After confirming that it was Zhao Feng, Li Si still found it hard to believe. The military report is like this. It will be verified by the military merit soldiers and then by the Sima of the Central Army. It cannot be falsified. Wei Liao replied with a smile. Wei Liao was very confident about the military merits and punishments that he personally managed. Once the war started, he would send many military merit soldiers who were responsible for counting the military merits, as well as the Central Army Sima. I congratulate the king. This boy. He is really a talent. Li Si clasped his fists and congratulated Zheng. Zheng smiled slightly. This boy is indeed a brave general. I see the shadow of a person in my great Qin in him. As soon as these words fell, all the ministers looked at each other. P.S. Please recommend, vote, and read. Reading is very important. It will be updated vigorously after it is put on the shelves. Chapter 73, Establish a County. Appoint someone to be the county governor. Invisible confrontation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who do you think you see in him? Zheng smiled, looked at the ministers and asked. Wei Liao smiled, stood up, and said very confidently, let me make a bold guess. Perhaps the king sees the shadow of the former Lord Wuan in this Zhao Feng. Hear this. Zheng suddenly laughed, ha ha ha. Wei Qin, you are worthy of being a disciple of Gigu, and you are extremely intelligent. Yes, I did see the shadow of Lord Wuan in Zhao Feng. Hear this. The ministers who originally paid no attention also looked at Zheng in surprise. Although Bai Qi was once executed by King Zhaoxiang for his crimes, all the ministers in the court knew that the current king highly respected the former Lord Wuan. The fact that Zhao Feng can be praised by the current king as Lord Wuan shows that the king thinks highly of Zhao Feng. The king's sentiments are not false, but Zhao Feng does have the same shadow as Lord Wuan in the army. In the past, Lord Wuan also made meritorious deeds by killing enemies in his own body, and step by step he became the commander-in-chief of our great Qin army with military merit. This is something that no one in our great Qin army can replicate. And the performance of Zhao Fengchu's meritorious service is even more legendary than that of Wuanjuan. He started in the logistics army and now he has made new achievements. It is indeed a bit surprising. Wei Liao said with a smile. What are your plans for the reward that Wei Qing said will be given after the death of Han? Zheng looked at Wei Liao again and asked. Return to the king. The reward for military merit is not given to one person, but to the entire army's meritorious generals and warriors. The elite officers are still appointed by the Sima Ku of the army. Those who are above the captain need to be appointed by the Shaofu, and they need to be appointed by the king. After the death of Han dynasty, Sima general of the Chinese army will report all the military exploits to the generals, and they can be rewarded together. Wei Liao said respectfully, hear this. Zheng also nodded. What Wei Qing said is absolutely true. Just as you said, we will reward King Han after he is captured and Han is completely dead. Your Majesty, Xingming. Wei Liao immediately shouted. At this time, Zheng's eyes turned and fell on a minister who had been silent from beginning to end. Zheng Qin, why didn't you say a word? Ying smiled slightly and looked at the minister and asked, "Hear this?" Zhengguo walked out slowly with a look of worry and heaviness on his face, and then knelt directly in front of Ying. "My lord, I would like to ask your majesty for a favor." Zhengguo bowed his head. "Zheng Qin is the greatest contributor to Qin dynasty and Gu. As long as you open your mouth, you will be right." Ying waved his hand and said with great trust, "From the word Biz Hun, we can hear that Ying attaches great importance to the Qin State in front of him. Certainly, it's not just Ying's favor, but Zhengguo's outstanding ability. Moreover, when it comes to the relationship between Zheng and Qin, and the relationship between Zheng and Ying, it is not as simple as it seems on the surface. He was originally a Korean, and was sent to Qin by the king of Han to bring down Qin's national power and make Qin forever. There is no chance to send troops to South Korea. Excavation of the Guangzhou Canal was a strategy to weaken the Qin dynasty, only. After all, King Han underestimated the human heart, and even more underestimated the heart of a master who aspired to serve the world. After coming to the Qin State, Zhengguo understood that the survival of a country is small and the world of China is safe. He also understood what changes the success of the Guangzhou Canal would bring to the Qin dynasty and even to the world. Guangzhou would become a granary and the world's granary. And this, he succeeded. In history, the Qin State was able to unify China, and the Guangzhou granary was indispensable, and the Zhengguo Canal was indispensable. From the fact that the king of Qin named the canal after Zhengguo, one can imagine how much he was valued. "I sincerely ask your majesty to treat the people of Korea with kindness, do not treat them harshly, and treat them equally." Zhengguo knelt on the ground and said with a kind of sincerity and respect. Ying did not speak, but slowly stood up from the throne, walked to Zhengguo, stretched out his hand to support him, and said at the same time, "You are clear about Gu's ambition. To rule the world, China is united. This is an orphan, and it is also the long-cherished wish of the ancestors of the Qin dynasty. All Chinese people in China will be treated equally." Hear this? Zhengguo burst into tears with gratitude on his face, and stood up with Ying's support. "My lord, I swear to be loyal to the king to the death." For Zhengguo, after the successful opening of the Zhengguo Canal for Qin in the past, Qin's grain output greatly increased. It was criticized by countless people in South Korea, who angrily called Zhengguo a traitor and suffered a lot of infamy in South Korea. This is also the case with many foreign guests who once served as highly respected ministers in Qin and made contributions to Qin. When they were in their country, they were not taken seriously and were even targeted, but they were scolded after they became brilliant. But no matter which country the foreigner is from, there is one fundamental point in surrendering to Qin, that is the personality charm of the king of Qin and his long-cherished wish for unification. Start the memorial, your majesty. Now that Han is about to die, we should send a minister to guard Han. As for the ownership of Han, please let your majesty make a decision. Wang stood up and started to announce. Gu has already made plans for Korea. Ying turned around and stood in front of the throne. Then, he said loudly, after the death of Han dynasty was set up as Yingchuan County. Li Ting leads the army to guard Yingchuan. As for the governor of Yingchuan County, the ministers can recommend a candidate. Said Ying turned around and looked at everyone. Before others could recover, Wang immediately stood up and said loudly, "I recommend Wei Zhuang to be the governor of Yingchuan County. I recommend Yao Jia." Before Ying could speak, Li Si, the court judge, also stood up to recommend. Wang frowned and glared at Li Si, but did not dare to attack in the end. It was obvious, the people they recommended were all their own people, Qin. The strongest country in Shenzhou today, under the rule of Ying, checks and balances the court, checks and balances everything, and completely weighs the several factions in the court. This is also the strength of the kingly way. Looking at the two people who were recommended, Ying did not have any expression, but looked at Zhengguo. "Qin, don't you have anyone to recommend?" Obviously. Ying wanted to give this recommendation opportunity to Zhengguo. Everyone here knows that the initial establishment of Han is a great opportunity to gain the merit of governance. Since ancient times, military generals are credited with expanding territory and killing enemies in battle, and civil officials are credited with governing a region. Naturally, no one wants to give up this opportunity to gain great merit. Hearing Ying Zheng's words, Zheng looked thoughtful. He glanced at the ministers in the hall, and seemed not to want to participate, but he also felt the expectant eyes of Ying Zheng. Obviously, Zheng did not participate too much in the confrontation between the old nobles and the new nobles in the court. He was devoted to digging and building canals. He was a typical technician, not a person who coveted power. If you let me recommend, I recommend Lord Meng Yi. Zheng thought about it and recommended directly. As soon as Meng Yi's name came out, even Wang Wan and Li Si, who wanted to compete again, did not speak again. P.S. Please recommend votes and monthly votes. Chapter 74, Marriage. 18th Sun Hu Hai. Birthday. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Meng family. Although the contemporary head of the family, Meng Wu, who is also a general, does not have as much prestige as Wang Jian, but in Daqin, compared with Wang's family, it is more deeply rooted and has greater prestige. Because the Meng family has served Daqin for 3 generations, it can be said that it is a general family loyal to the kingship. Although Meng Wu's prestige is not as good as Wang Jian, there is still an old head of the family who has retired in the Meng family, Meng Ao. He was once the general of Daqin and the right-hand man of Bai Qi, the former Wuan Jun. As an old noble, the Meng family did not intervene in the confrontation with the new nobles for power. It is for this reason that the Meng family was not dared to offend the 2 sides of the court. When the name of Meng Yi came out, Wang Wan and Li Si naturally dared not to compete again. Zheng recommendation was not selfish, but completely public-spirited, because he knew Meng Yi and knew that Meng Yi was a capable minister. Let him govern and he would never blame the people. When Ying Zheng heard Zheng recommendation, he also showed a faint smile on his face. This is what he wanted. This seemingly casual question not only won over Zheng and appeased his heart, but also found the person who was really in Ying Zheng's mind as the county governor. This may be the power of the emperor. Although he had some ideas in his mind, he did not say them out loud, but let his ministers say them out loud. Since it was recommended by Zheng, how could I not agree? Ying Zheng smiled slightly, and then looked at Meng Yi on the side. Meng Qing, you will set off for Han tomorrow to govern Yingchuan County. When this place is completely under the control of our great Qin and the people are settled, I will personally reward you for your merits. Meng Yi stood up and bowed. I am willing to accept the order to govern Yingchuan County, but I have a few doubts. Please help me, Your Majesty. Speak. Ying Zheng smiled slightly. When Yingchuan is first settled, there will be riots. Should we deal with it severely or gently appease it? In addition, Yingchuan is under the rule of our great Qin. How should the land in Yingchuan be divided? Will it be all nationalized, or what? I am in charge of the government affairs of Yingchuan. If I need the help of the elite soldiers to guard the city, do I have the right to mobilize troops? Meng Yi stood up straight and said seriously. If there are riots, we will deal with them severely and punish them according to Qin law. Han has perished, and Yingchuan County has been established. It has become the territory of our great Qin. All should be subject to our great Qin laws. If you need to mobilize troops, you can discuss it with Li Teng. Ying Zheng said directly. Hearing this, Meng Yi bowed. I accept the edict. What else can you say? As long as it is about garrisoning, I allow you to do what is not prohibited by law. Ying Zheng said in a deep voice. Although the territory of Han is not large among the other countries, it has a large population of 3 or 4 million. If such a large population is mismanaged, there will be chaos. This is why it needs capable ministers to govern. The king has promised me 3 things, and I have nothing else to ask for. If I really encounter something that cannot be solved, I will report it to the king. Meng Yi bowed. Yes. Ying Zheng nodded and said nothing more. Your Majesty. Now that Han is about to perish, this is a great thing for our Qin. I heard that the king intends to marry Princess Liang to Wang Ben, the son of General Wang Jian. Why not have good things come in pairs now? General Wang Jian's daughter is 14 years old and is the same age as the eldest son. Just as General Yu is stationed at the border, his General Li Teng is happy to destroy Han, so we can make a marriage contract, and 3 good things will come together. Xuanhuan stood up and suggested with a smile. Hearing this, Ying smiled slightly, and his expression was very calm. Regarding this matter, the news had spread before the Qin army launched an attack on Han, and Ying did not intervene, but let the news spread, which was obviously intentional. As for the Wang family, Ying intended to marry a princess to Wang Ben, which showed his respect for the Wang family and gave the Wang family supreme favor. As for marrying the daughter of the Wang family to his eldest son, although it seemed to be a privilege, it was actually a means of checks and balances, equivalent to a hostage. The king's power granted marriages and made alliances. It has been like this since ancient times, even in later generations. Wang Jian has been in the Qin for so many years, how could he not know the king's will? Even if he didn't want to do it in his heart, what could he do? The king's edict was issued, and the ministers could not violate it. This proposal. Let's discuss it when the general returns triumphantly. Ying said slowly. Hearing this, Xuanhuan's old face was full of smiles. He naturally heard what Ying meant, and there was no objection, so he promoted this matter. As the prime minister of the Qin dynasty, Xuanhuan's official position has reached the level of one person above 10,000 people, checking and balancing the court, holding great power. At such a position, it is impossible for him to advance, but for the sake of his Wang family and his descendants, he naturally has to make plans early. Obviously, the key to planning for descendants is the kingship, assisting the future king, and his Wang family chose the natural heir to the throne, Fusu. Your Majesty is wise. Xuanhuan said respectfully, and then retreated. Okay. This matter is over. I still have to review the memorials, and if there is anything, we will discuss it in the court tomorrow. Ying said. I will take my leave. The ministers naturally did not dare to disobey, and after bowing and paying homage, they all withdrew. In the hall, only Zhao Gao, who was serving on the side, was left. Why don't you go out? Ying looked up and asked calmly. Reply to the king, I want to ask which palace you are staying tonight. Zhao Gao knelt on the ground and said humbly. You decide on this matter. Ying said casually. Ying was not too focused on these things. After all, the concubines in the harem were not his beloved ones. Those women were just to continue the bloodline and pass on the family line. As a king of a country, he was also the king of the strongest country in Shenzhou. There were no more than 10 concubines in Ying's harem. Compared with the dozens or hundreds of King Han, it can be imagined that Ying did not have these women in his heart. A few days ago, Madame Hu said that the 18th prince missed the king. It happened that today was the 18th prince's 8th birthday. How about the king going to Madame Hu's palace tonight? Zhao Gao said tentatively. Hai's birthday. Thinking of Hu Hai's clever appearance, Ying's eyes also flashed with warmth, and then nodded. Just do as you say. I will receive the edict. Zhao Gao was delighted and immediately received the edict. Then he slowly stood up and left Zhangtai palace, but at this moment, Ying looked confused, as if he thought of something when he heard the word birthday. Birthday. Afang's birthday will be in 18 days. It would be great if you were still by my side. If I had protected you at the beginning, I would always have you by my side, and our child might be older than Fusu. Where are you? Ying muttered to himself, his eyes filled with longing and memories. At this moment, he didn't seem to be the majestic and overbearing king, but just an ordinary person. P.S. Please recommend, please vote, please read. Chapter 75, The Situation in Handu. Gaining Merit. Urgent news again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Han capital Xinjiang. Perhaps it can no longer be called Han capital, because Han has died, and the king has been ordered by Li Ting to be escorted to Xianyang with 5,000 cavalry. After the war, order has been restored in Xinjiang city. A few days have passed, the corpses in the city have been cleaned up, and those places with thick blood have been washed with water, but the whole city is still shrouded in a bloody smell, which will take time to completely disappear. However, although the previous tragic attack was over, the vigilance in the city has not decreased at all. Although many people have left home with trepidation after the war, they are also full of fear of the Qin army. If possible, many people even want to stay at home, but in order to survive and make a living, they have to come out. As a few days passed, the people in the city became more and more at ease. It is said that the city is full of patrolling Qin soldiers, and many Qin soldiers are searching for Han officials and soldiers who have escaped in the houses of the city, but ordinary people are not harmed. As the reputation spreads, ordinary people naturally feel relieved, but facing the murderous Qin army, it is impossible to completely eliminate fear and vigilance in a short time. The court used to lie. The Qin army is not the kind of army that burns, kills and plunders. Yes. I just ran into a Qin soldier head-on. I thought my life was going to be gone, but I didn't expect him to apologize to me in return. It has always been said that the Qin army is a tiger and wolf army. They slaughter cities and kill people when they meet them. They only know how to kill. Now it seems that they are clearly an army with strict military discipline. Alas, our country has been destroyed. In the future, we will pray that the Qin court will treat us better. Now we will talk about it first. The people in the city looked at the Qin army patrolling everywhere, with different thoughts. Some were uneasy, some were curious, and some were hostile. However, for these ordinary people, their country has been destroyed, and the matter is done. From the current situation, there is no way to change it. They can only obey Qin's rule. If they resist, it is tantamount to seeking death. After all, there are many people in the city who resisted the Qin army's search in the past few days, and the Qin army killed those people without mercy. The current situation in the city, or the situation in Henchenki conquered by the Qin army, is the same. Although the people are terrified, they have no choice but to obey the Qin army, and the Qin army does not treat the obedient people rudely. They are respectful to each other. The wounded camp in the city. Zhao Feng is very familiar with suturing and changing the dressings for the wounded. At this moment, his medical skills have been upgraded to the intermediate level, and he is more comfortable doing this, just like a person who has studied medicine for many years. Rescue one wounded soldier and gain 1 merit. As a wounded soldier was successfully rescued, a prompt appeared on the panel. Brother Zhao. Now your speed of treating the wounded seems to be faster, and your technique is more skillful. This is an improvement in medical skills. Master Chen said with a smile. Practice makes perfect. Zhao Feng replied with a smile. After the war, Zhao Feng arranged his subordinates to clean up the bodies in the city and bury them, and he came to the wounded camp to treat the wounded. This great opportunity, Zhao Feng did not want to miss. On the one hand, he used his subordinates to pick up attributes, and on the other hand, he treated the wounded to pick up merits, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Brother Zhao. Now the suturing method and quenching disinfection method you created have been thoroughly promoted in the army, and it is indeed very effective, but why did some wounded soldiers still get 7-day wind after using this method? But many wounded soldiers who have been treated did not. Is there any reason for this? Master Chen asked Zhao Feng for advice at this moment. I have discovered this problem a long time ago. However, for now, the disinfection is not so comprehensive. For example, suturing also requires complete disinfection, but the current medical technology can't do it at all. And the degree of disinfection with strong liquor is not enough now, and it can't be said to be disinfected in the true sense. Zhao Feng slowly explained. In the final analysis, today's suturing method, quenching disinfection and strong liquor disinfection are also helpless methods. Although it is not perfect, it has indeed improved the survival rate of the wounded. However, it is impossible to compare it with the later generations. The degree of strong liquor. Master Chen looked confused, and then thought of something. The strong liquor in the army is the strongest liquor specially brewed by the Shaofu, which is unique in the world. Isn't this enough? Master Chen said. It is indeed not enough. Zhao Feng shook his head. What other methods can be used to solve it? Master Chen asked. We can only clean and suture the wound as much as possible, so that the chance of infection with the 7 days wind will decrease. As for the disinfection of strong liquor, we can only wait and see if there will be higher alcohol content in the future. Zhao Feng said. Regarding strong liquor, Zhao Feng actually knows the distillation method, because he was a wine lover in his previous life. Yes. Master Chen nodded and did not ask any more questions. Speaking of which, this time I heard that you have made another contribution to breaking the city, and also a contribution to capturing the king. Your future is limitless. Master Chen suddenly laughed. Brother Chen, you are quite well informed about this news. Zhao Feng smiled. All the soldiers in the wounded camp came from the battlefield. I got all the news from them. Master Chen glanced at them and said unhappily. Forget it. We have to wait for the news from Ying to get the rewards. It's still early. Let's continue to treat the wounded. Zhao Feng didn't want to delay the precious time to gain merit, so he started to treat the wounded again. Looking at the busy Zhao Feng, Master Chen had a smile on his face, but there was also a sense of strangeness. This kid is quite interested in treating the wounded. If he is not a brave general who kills the enemy in battle, he may really be accepted as a close disciple by the teacher. In the future, my great Qin will have another great doctor. Xianyang City. Only one day later, in the court hall, all officials gathered, and in the hall, an urgent messenger has arrived, holding a military report in his hand. Seeing his excited expression, Zheng on the throne naturally guessed what happened. The military report came yesterday afternoon, and there was another urgent military report in the court today. The answer was beyond doubt. Your Majesty. The general has submitted an urgent military report. The messenger in the hall bowed and raised the military report with both hands. Zheng did not speak, but waved his hand. Zhao Gao ran down quickly and took the military report in his hands. Read it directly. I guess the general has brought me good news. Zheng said with a smile. He had already guessed the content of the military report, which should be the capture of the King of Han. P.S. Please recommend, please vote, please read. Chapter 76, Zhao Feng again. Shocking the court. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. I received the imperial edict. Zhao Gao immediately opened the military report and faced the court. Emergency military report from Han, presented by your servant Wang Jian. On the day when Han's capital was captured, King Han abandoned all officials and fled to Han's capital. General Li blocked the entire city and searched for Han An's whereabouts. Lucky. When Zhao Feng, the commander of the Lantian camp, was guarding the treasury of the king of Han's palace, he discovered the secret passage of the treasury and led his troops into the secret passage to search, and finally found the traces of the king of Han and the remnants of the army. Commander Zhao Feng was brave and captured the king of Han. Han State has been completely destroyed. Zhao Gao read out loudly. The voice of the reading fell. All the Qin officials in the hall were surprised, especially Wang Wan, Li Si, and other ministers who were in Zhangtai Palace yesterday. They already knew the news that Han's capital had been captured, and also knew who had captured Han's capital. The man who captured the king of Han was Zhao Feng again. Is his luck so good? He guarded the treasury of the king of Han's palace and found a secret passage. He captured the king of Han. This boy is really unbelievable. The merit of breaking the city and capturing the king, he really has a bright future. The king showed his appreciation for Zhao Feng in the Zhangtai palace that day. Now that he has made new achievements, the king will value this boy even more. The ministers in the Zhangtai palace yesterday had something in mind. The courtiers in the hall seemed to have heard of the name Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng, this name is so familiar. Is this the man who made military achievements in the logistics army and was allowed by the king to transfer to the main battle camp? If it is this man, then he has made great achievements again. The merit of capturing the king should not be underestimated. The courtiers in the court also recalled the existence of Zhao Feng and couldn't help but fall into surprise, and it's not just the courtiers standing in the hall. Even Zheng, who was sitting on the throne, was slightly surprised at this moment. He guessed that the king of Han was captured, but he didn't expect the person who captured the king of Han. Interesting. It turned out to be Zhao Feng again. He is really my lucky general. At this moment, Zheng couldn't help but smile, at the moment when no one came back to their senses. Cheers! Zheng laughed loudly, and the sound of cheers followed. The king of Han has been captured, and the kingdom of Han has been destroyed. Your Highness congratulates the king. The ministers congratulated Zheng in unison. Wei Qing. In one day, how is the statistics and rewards for the war to destroy Han this time? Zheng smiled and looked directly at Wei Liao. Reply to the king, the Xiaofu has basically completed the statistics, and the statistics will be completed today and submitted to the king for review. Wei Liao replied loudly. Okay. Zheng nodded, overlooking the whole court. Han is dead. From today on, Han will no longer exist. It will be governed as a county, Yingchuan County. I have already appointed Mang Yi as the first governor of Yingchuan County. Do you have any objections? Zheng said loudly. In response to this, many ministers in the court have basically known the news. Naturally, there will be no objection. Your subjects second the motion. All the civil and military officials shouted in unison. Yes. Zheng nodded and waved his hand. Zhao Gao, who was standing by, immediately took out a royal edict from the table, held it high, and walked towards the hall, shouting at the same time, Mang Yi, accept the edict. Your subject, Mang Yi, accept the edict. Mang Yi stood in the hall. Zhao Gao walked up to him, held up the royal edict, and Mang Yi took it respectfully. Meng Qing. I believe in your ability. How Yingchuan County is governed depends on you. I grant you full power of disposal and military coordination. I will give you 2 years to make the people of Yingchuan completely submit to the Qin dynasty and take control of the territory. Zheng stared at Mang Yi and said. I will never let the king down. Mang Yi replied loudly, full of confidence. Wei Qing. How should Zhao Feng's merits be rewarded now? It just so happens that Meng Qing is going to Yingchuan to take office, so let him take the imperial edict of Zhao Feng and the imperial edicts of the meritorious men in the whole army. Zheng looked at Wei Liao again. Reply to the king. Due to Zhao Feng's merits, he can be promoted 2 levels and 4 levels. Wei Liao replied immediately. Now Zhao Feng is a captain, and if he is promoted to the 2nd rank, he will be a deputy general commanding 50,000 troops, and if he is promoted to the 4th rank, he will be a left minister. If I remember correctly. This Zhao Feng has been in the army for less than a year. Zheng smiled slightly. Reply to the king. I checked the time when Zhao Feng joined the army, and it will be 10 months later in half a month. Wei Liao replied with a smile. As soon as this was said, the whole court was shocked again. Is this a joke? It has been less than 10 months since he joined the army. He has become a deputy general commanding 50,000 troops from a commoner. His title has also been raised to left minister. Left minister. This is a real high title. With this title, the annual salary is 500 stones, and the descendants can inherit it, and the land can be inherited. This can be said to be a step to heaven. Left minister, you can be granted 500 acres of land, which is a great fortune. The whole court couldn't help but discuss it, and all of them could not hide their shock, especially knowing that Zhao Feng had only been in the army for 10 months was shocking enough. If the news spread to the world, perhaps countless people would not believe it. Seeing the discussion in the court became noisy, but Zheng did not show any anger, but smiled. Your Majesty. This is the military system of my great Qin army. Is there any country in the world that can allow a white man to ascend to such a powerful position in one step? Is there any country in the world that can allow people at the bottom to leap over the dragon's gate? That's exactly what it is. Every one of our great Qin warriors has the opportunity to be a great minister. Everything depends on military merit. In the world, I am the only one who can do it, Daqin. Zheng showed his domineering attitude, stretched out his hands, and said powerfully. The sound fell. All the civil and military officials in the court were in awe, and they all looked at Zheng in the high position with awe. My king will live forever. I am the only one who can rule the world, Daqin. My king for 10,000 years. The sound of singing resounded throughout the entire hall. Prepared imperial edict. Captain Zhao Feng conquered the capital of Han and captured the king of Han, which was a great achievement. It should be conferred according to the military merit system of our great Qin dynasty. Give Zhao an official promotion to the second level, to the rank of Deputy General, to command an army of 50,000 people, and to control 50,000 generals. Give Zhao the title of promotion to the fourth rank, the title of the chief of the Zhua concubine, and an annual salary of 500 shi. With the title, I will be granted 500 acres of land in my native place and be exempted from land tax for 2 years. In the past, the annual salary was all based on the annual salary of the Zhua concubine. Zheng announced to the whole court with a majestic look. And this, it also shows how much Zheng values Zhao Feng. The 2-year exemption from land tax is unprecedented. This is one of the blessings, except, in addition, in the past, all annual salaries were paid according to the annual salary of the Zhua concubine. Since Zhao Feng joined the army, his annual salary has not been paid once because of the Qin army. This is unique for such a long period of time when all the annual salary is paid to the chief of the Zhua concubine. It can be seen that Zheng is very happy. P.S. Please give me recommendation votes, please give me monthly votes, and please continue to read. Thank you very much. Chapter 77 Zheng's Grace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For such a favor from Zheng, the ministers in the court had no objection. First, this kind of favor had nothing to do with them, so there was no need for them to speak out against it. Second, the people in the court were not stupid, and they could naturally see that Zheng was very happy at this moment. It would be a waste of time to offend him at this moment. The king is wise. The civil and military officials in the court praised him in unison. Wei Qing. Publicize Zhao Feng's deeds of meritorious service to the country, to the whole army. I want to let all the sharp soldiers of the Qin dynasty know that there is no compromise or trick in the military merit system of the Qin dynasty. As long as you kill the enemy for the Qin dynasty, everyone can be rewarded and ennobled like Zhao Feng. Zheng said loudly to Wei Liao again. Wei Liao immediately stood up and said loudly, I will obey the imperial edict. I will let the Xiaofu spread the news of Zhao Feng's heroic achievements throughout the army to inspire all the sharp soldiers. Obviously, Zhao Feng's victory not only shocked the court, but also served as a strong incentive under the king's power. Taking Zhao Feng as the basis, the whole army can be inspired, and the effect achieved will certainly not be small. This may be the establishment of a model in later generations. Report to the king. Now Han is dead. Xuanhuan County will be guarded by General Li Teng, so there is no need to worry. The general can return to Xianyang, and the other 2 camps of Lantian camp can also be returned to Lantian to avoid the consumption of food and grass. Wang stood up and said loudly. Yes. Zheng nodded, then he said, let the general return to Xianyang, and take Hanan and all his officials back to Xianyang. The old minister receives the order. Wang said immediately. Meng Qing. Governing the Han area is not a one-person job. You are the chief officer. If you need anyone this time, I will allow you to take them. The main thing is to deal with the small clerks and documents. You can go directly to the Prime Minister if you need someone. Zheng told Meng Yi again. I receive the imperial edict. Meng Yi responded immediately. Hearing this, Wan's eyes lit up. This is an opportunity for his officials to make meritorious deeds, and Li Si also spoke immediately. Your Majesty, the Yingxuan group will implement the laws of our great Qin, and there are many clerks in my court who can accompany them. Meng Qing, if you need it, you can also discuss it with the court. Zheng took a look and said immediately, how could Zheng not see through the little thoughts of Wan and Li Si? It's just that, for Zheng, their fight is a better way to control them, and Zheng is also happy to see it happen. If there is only one voice in the court, no fighting, no dispute, that should be what Zheng is worried about. Xinjiang. In the wounded camp. Captain Zhao. General Li has ordered the captain to meet him. Li Ting's personal guard leader came to the wounded camp and said to Zhao Feng. Captain Wu, I wonder what General Li wants. Zhao Feng said with some surprise, now everything is done, he is fine in the wounded camp, there should be nothing else. It seems to be about escorting Han Baiguan. You will know when the captain meets him. Commander Wu replied with a smile. About escorting Han Baiguan. Zhao Feng nodded, and then followed Commander Wu to where Li Teng was, not long after, in an official residence in the city. This general pays homage to General Li. Arriving at the main hall, Zhao Feng bowed to Li Teng. Haha. The great hero of our army is here. Quickly, please don't be polite. Li Teng said with a smile. Zhao Feng stood up and said with a smile, I wonder what the general needs from me. How is the situation in the wounded camp? Li Teng asked. The situation is not bad. Most of the wounded can survive, but there are still a few medicinal materials. The general needs to dispatch them. Zhao Feng replied truthfully. Li Teng nodded, you don't need to worry about the medicinal materials. Master Chen has already told me. Now I have also urgently recruited medicinal materials. You really surprised me. The chance of survival of the wounded has increased. This is a great contribution from you. I never thought that you are also proficient in medical skills. Zhao Feng smiled immediately. My mother is proficient in medical skills. I have been influenced by her since I was a child. I have also learned some. I never thought that I could help my comrades in the army. Don't be modest. Master Chen has come to me many times to talk about your merits. Don't worry. The medical skills you created have brought countless sharp soldiers a chance to survive. I have reported it truthfully. Although these are not military merits, they can also make you get more attention from the king. Li Teng said with a smile. In fact, Li Teng did not know that Master Chen's teacher Xia Wuqi had reported the medical skills created by Zhao Feng to Zheng. General, this summons is not for the wounded camp, right? Zhao Feng asked. General, give the order. I want you to escort Han and all the officials to the border camp. Li Teng became serious. Hasn't it been escorted? Zhao Feng said in surprise. A few days ago, there were cavalrymen escorting the king of Han in person, but those officials were not escorted. The 5,000 cavalrymen escorted the king of Han. Those Han ministers and officials are still imprisoned in Xinjiang prison. Li Teng replied with a smile. Then the king of Han is really handsome, and it is worth my 5,000 sharp soldiers to escort him. Zhao Feng sighed. Although the land of Han has been completely captured by our army, there are still many remnants hiding in the dark, and it is hard to guarantee that there are no loyalists of the king of Han. If they want to kidnap the king of Han, this matter will be a big deal, so we must be cautious. Li Teng said. Zhao Feng nodded and said nothing more. General Li. I don't know when we will be escorted. Zhao Feng asked. You take my general order to arrest people in prison. All the captured Han officials will be escorted to Xianyang and handed over to the king for disposal. Li Teng said seriously. Should I go to Xianyang? Zhao Feng asked expectantly. It has been 16 years since I was reborn into this world. As a native of the Qin State, the farthest place Zhao Feng has ever been is the county seat of his hometown, Xianyang, the capital of Qin that has been passed down through the ages, but Zhao Feng has never been there. Moreover, Zhao Feng was also full of curiosity about Qin Shihuang. What? Want to go to Xianyang? Li Teng saw Zhao Feng's curiosity at a glance. I wanted to take a look. After all, it is the capital of my great Qin. Zhao Feng replied with a smile. With your ability, you will have many opportunities in the future. But this time you only need to escort Han Chen to the border, and those Han Chen will be brought back to Xianyang by the general himself. Li Teng said with a smile. General, I understand. Zhao Feng nodded. With Wang Jian's status, he led an army of 300,000 people on an expedition. It was unique that he had such a high position and authority. Naturally, this did not allow him to continue to command troops outside. After the war, he would naturally return to the capital to wait for orders. Since ancient times, supporting soldiers and showing self-respect is a taboo. Subsequently, Li Teng handed over his general order to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng took his subordinates to the prison to arrest him. Escort duty. From Xinjiang to the border, it can be reached in 5 days using the strength of infantry. P.S. Please give me recommendation votes, monthly votes, and follow-up reading. Chapter 78 Everyone can die, except Han Fei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Captain Zhao. There are 257 Han officials in this prison, and now all of them have been taken out. A captain guarding the prison said to Zhao Feng, outside the prison, there are more than 200 people wearing Han official uniforms. They used to be high officials in Han, many of them were powerful, but now they have become prisoners, and their future is unknown. Looking at these prisoners, everyone's face is decadent, and there is fear of the unknown, and there are shackles on their hands and feet. Aren't their families with them? Zhao Feng glanced and asked. There are thousands of their families, and they will be dealt with later. If these people surrender to our great Qin, their families may be treated kindly. If they are still stubborn, their families will be reduced to slaves. The captain on duty replied. In response, Zhao Feng naturally nodded clearly. These people will be taken to Xianyang, and what is waiting for their treatment? It's very simple. Those who are capable may be retained, those who are incapable will be miserable. They may be demoted to slaves or their entire families may be demoted to slaves. Xuanhuan. Zhao Feng shouted loudly. Captain. Xuanhuan came quickly. Are you ready? Zhao Feng asked. All 50 prisoner carts have arrived, and the Marquis of Wei has also allocated 5 days' worth of dry food and water. Xuanhuan said. Okay, put all the prisoners on the prison carts. Zhao Feng immediately ordered. Yes. Xuanhuan immediately retreated, then he waved his hand, ordered the sharp soldiers to drive these prisoners on the prison carts. Captain Zhao. There is another thing you need to pay special attention to. At this time, the captain on duty in the prison spoke again. Please speak. Zhao Feng said immediately. Did you see that person? The captain pointed to one of the prisoners, and Zhao Feng looked at him. He recognized him at a glance. It was Han Fei who almost committed suicide in front of the king of Han's palace that day. Although he has become a prisoner at this moment, his demeanor and temperament remain unchanged, but his eyes still have the determination to die, and he seems to have no intention of surviving. Han royal family, Han Fei. Zhao Feng said slowly, and then smiled. What happened to him? General Li specifically instructed that all these prisoners can die, but Han Fei cannot die. Han Fei has not eaten much rice and water during the days he was imprisoned, and his body is very weak. If this continues, he may not be able to survive until Xianyang, and even Captain Zhao may not be able to survive on the way to Xianyang. So Captain Zhao had better pay attention. If he dies on the way, I'm afraid the general will blame him. The captain said slowly. Hearing this, Zhao Feng nodded, then clasped his fists and thanked. Thank you for your reminder, brother. Captain Zhao is polite. You are a hero in my army. If Captain Zhao hadn't broken the city, how could we have entered the city and killed the enemy? The captain replied very politely. At this time, all the prisoners have already boarded the car. Report to the commander. All the prisoners have been put on the prisoner carts. The 5 military camps have all gathered and can set off at any time. Xuanhuan came to report. Set off. Zhao Feng immediately ordered. Yes. Xuanhuan stepped back quickly and ordered to set off. I saw more than 4,000 elite soldiers under Zhao Feng, all wearing armor and holding weapons, lined up on both sides of the 50 prisoner carts, and escorted the prisoner carts to the outside of the city in an orderly manner. Han Gongzi Fei. Historically, he is called Han Fizi, the master of legalism. It can be seen that this person's ability is really not small. According to historical records, after Han Fei was taken to Xianyang, he was still imprisoned in the imperial prison, and then killed by his classmate Li Si. However, is Li Si, who has become one of the 9 ministers, so afraid of Han Fei? Looking at Han Fei in the prison cart, Zhao Feng was thinking in his heart, he used to know history, but now he is completely integrated into history. Han Fizi and history also appeared in front of him, so how could Zhao Feng not be a part of history? I don't know how I will be recorded in the future history, or maybe, relying on the picking attribute, I can live forever and witness the reincarnation of history with my own eyes. Zhao Feng thought secretly. Time passed quickly. 1 day passed. At night, Zhao Feng led his troops to escort the prisoners out of Xinjiang and came to the border of Yangcheng. Send the order down, rest for 1 night, make a bonfire, distribute dry food and water to the prisoners, let the prisoners get off the car temporarily, and continue tomorrow. Zhao Feng said. Yes. The military marquises responded one after another, and then went to make arrangements. Zhao Feng also found a place to sit down, took out the dry food and started eating. Zhao boy. What kind of reward do you think the king will give you this time? As soon as he sat down, Wei Quan came over and sat next to Zhao Feng. In the entire Dui camp, and even the entire main battle camp, only Wei Quan could be so familiar with Zhao Feng without any restraint. Brother Wei, why are you more anxious than me? I don't know what reward I will get now. Zhao Feng turned his head and replied unhappily. He. I'm just happy for you in advance. Who could have thought of this? A logistic soldier who had no idea about power has now become a captain of the main battle camp, and a famous general in the entire main battle camp. Wei Quan laughed. You know. I really didn't want to do it at first, I was forced to do it. Zhao Feng replied with emotion. Wei Quan smiled and said with a mischievous tone, yes, the first time he made a contribution, he made a move to save me, but he killed a general of the Han army the first time. The second time, he was chased by the Han army, and he made a move to protect himself, but he killed the general of the Han army again. Why do I hear that you mean I am lucky? Zhao Feng said unhappily. If this is not considered good luck, then what is good luck? You don't know how many sharp soldiers in the army are targeting you now. Wei Quan replied unhappily. Maybe it's luck. Zhao Feng was too lazy to argue. The powerful attribute he possesses is strength, but luck is also part of strength. The reason why he was able to be promoted to the current position of captain in a short period of time was that he relied on killing enemies and making meritorious contributions. The enemies he killed were not ordinary enemies, but he first killed a general and then killed the enemy general. This was also the key to promotion. But, Zhao boy, I can see that your mind has changed from the beginning. Now you have begun to pursue power. Wei Quan looked at Zhao Feng meaningfully and said, as a close brother at the beginning, he could naturally feel the changes in Zhao Feng clearly. Since you are here, you should make the best of it. And what you said, Brother Wei, is right. This world itself is unfair to the strong and the weak. I need power to protect my family. Zhao Feng smiled slightly, his eyes full of determination. But, Zhao Feng did not say much. Now I gain power for the future. P.S. Please recommend, please vote, please read, thank you very much. Chapter 79 I don't care whether you live or die. But don't die now. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Knowing history, knowing what will happen in the future, Zhao Feng naturally has to make plans. Of course, it was only after he really entered the main battle camp that Zhao Feng began to think so. Perhaps, this is the different opportunities created by different places. There is no such opportunity to gain power in the logistics army. Zhao Feng killed Bao Yuan and his son. It was impossible for the logistics army to fight. Perhaps this was really luck. I hope you can figure it out. Originally, I didn't have any hope for the future, but now I have. Wei Quan stared at Zhao Feng, his eyes full of determination. I brought you out, and you saved my life. No matter where you go in the future, I will follow you. Hearing this, Zhao Feng smiled from the bottom of his heart. I want it. For Wei Quan, a true brother who is willing to sacrifice his life to shield himself, Zhao Feng is naturally willing to take him in. After sending this trip back, I will give you a surprise. Zhao Feng smiled again. Surprise? Wei Quan was stunned, and then he really looked expectant. Then I am really looking forward to it. At this time. Captain. Xuanhuan walked over quickly, with a helpless look on his face. What's wrong? Zhao Feng asked. Didn't you ask me to take care of Han Fei? He still doesn't eat, and he looks like he's going on a hunger strike. I've tried coercion and inducement, but it's useless. You should go and see for yourself. He can die anywhere, not in our escort team. It's not good to be blamed. Xuanhuan said helplessly. Zhao Feng nodded and said, I'll go and see. Then, Zhao Feng stood up and walked towards Han Fei, as the person that the king of Qin specifically asked for. Han Fei's treatment was also different. The other prisoners were gathered together for custody, but he was stared at by several sharp soldiers, and he was not shackled. In front of him, there were a few pieces of dry food and water. Master Han Fei. Why don't you eat? Zhao Feng came over and asked very calmly. To be honest, Zhao Feng really didn't care too much about Han Fei's life or death. He could die, just don't die on the way to his escort. How can the country survive if the family is destroyed? Han Fei glanced at Zhao Feng, and was also very cold. Zhao Feng didn't say anything nonsense, and sat directly beside Han Fei. You all go to eat, I'll talk to him. Zhao Feng said to the sharp soldiers around. Yes. The sharp soldiers around retreated one after another. For the three genes, it shouldn't be a country or not. Zhao Feng suddenly said. Han Fei's face changed slightly, and he looked at Zhao Feng with surprise. What do you mean by this? The three genes and the three families were established as ministers usurping the country of the master. They are traitors. How can the country survive? Perhaps all the countries in the world can say this, but the three genes are not worthy. Zhao Feng smiled faintly. You. Hearing this, Han Fei didn't know how to respond. After a moment of silence. According to what you mean, there is no one in the world who is not a traitor. Isn't it the same with your Qin State, which destroyed the Zhou Emperor's country? Han Fei angrily said. Don't say my Qin State, even the former Zhou State is a traitor. The Shang before the Zhou State was also a traitor. Zhao Feng did not refute, but responded with a faint smile. Looking at Zhao Feng's appearance, Han Fei looked puzzled. After another moment of silence, he said coldly, What do you mean? I don't mean anything. Just telling you. From ancient times to the present, the change of dynasties is the general trend of the world, which cannot be stopped by human power. What's the point of you dying? Now my Qin is the strongest in the world and has the national strength to unify the world. But who can say for sure what will happen in the next few decades or hundreds of years? Then. I don't know what big truths to say. I just ask you one thing. For the people in the world. Is it better for this world to be divided among various countries and endless wars, or is it better for the unification of China and the cohesion of China? Zhao Feng looked at Han Fei and asked seriously. Hearing this question, Han Fei was silent again. There is no doubt, this question hit Han Fei's heart directly. For him, a Korean, the destruction of the country and the destruction of the family makes him feel uncomfortable. But for the people in the world, if the continuous wars among the countries can really be ended, this is undoubtedly a great thing. For the people of the world, it is naturally better for the unification of China and the cohesion of China without war. Han Fei sighed and replied slowly. Since you know this truth, why are you still entangled? If you die of hunger strike, can your country be restored? Can your death change the Qin State's mobilization of troops? No more. I don't know why you, a minister, are still arguing. Your king fled before the city was captured. It's really embarrassing. Zhao Feng scolded unceremoniously, showing his ridicule of the king of Han, and this mocking remark also made Han Fei a little red. What do you say so much have to do with my life or death? Our king is incompetent and cannot coexist with the country, but I, Han Fei, can. Han Fei still said firmly. Tell the truth. Whether you live or die has nothing to do with me, but I am the one escorting you this time. After I escort you, whether you live or die is none of my business. You think I really want you to live? Seeing Han Fei like this, Zhao Feng couldn't help but retort, he is really too self-righteous. Hearing this, Han Fei stared at Zhao Feng with wide eyes, and it seemed that he didn't expect Zhao Feng to say this. There are 4 pieces of dry food in front of you. Do you want to eat them honestly, or do you want me to stuff them into your mouth directly? Zhao Feng directly pulled the box of dry food in front of Han Fei and said to Han Fei viciously. Rough. You are rude. Han Fei pointed at Zhao Feng in a hurry. It seems that you want me to stuff it in. Zhao Feng glared. A hand was directly pressed on Han Fei's shoulder. Han Fei subconsciously wanted to struggle, but Zhao Feng's hand was like 1,000 pounds, making him unable to move at all. Thinking that Zhao Feng really wanted to force it in, Han Fei was scared and said quickly, I'll eat by myself. Seeing this, Zhao Feng nodded with satisfaction and let Han Fei go. I'll escort you, you eat honestly for me, and when I leave, you can live or die as you please. Eat. Zhao Feng said in a deep voice. Due to Zhao Feng's coercion, Han Fei could only hold back his anger and picked up the dry food to eat. The sharp soldiers on the side saw Han Fei eating honestly by himself, and they couldn't help but admire. It still takes the captain to take action. This guy finally eats. Yes. The captain's methods are much better than ours. Only the captain can deal with this fearless person. P.S. Please recommend votes, monthly votes, and follow-up reading, thank you. Chapter 80. If Han Fei were alive, what changes would it bring to Qin? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since you know that King Qin wants me to go to Xianying alive, aren't you afraid that I will tell King Qin about your threats to me? Han Fei looked at Zhao Feng angrily while eating. Go ahead. Zhao Feng glanced at it and said angrily. Han Fei was really angry with himself and even filed a complaint. It's really like a child playing house. Seeing Zhao Feng's nonchalant look, Han Fei could only curse again. You are a rude person. Thank you for the compliment. I'm just a rough guy. Tell you one more thing. I was the one who killed your Korean general and his son. I conquered Han dynasty, and I also captured your greedy and fearful king of Han. How about it? I, a ruffian like me, have made a lot of contributions, right? Zhao Feng said with a smile. It was clear that he wanted to make Han Fei angry. The master of legalism. What's going on? Zhao Feng remembers a sentence. A scholar can't explain clearly when he encounters soldiers. Now I am that soldier. Han Fei is a scholar. I escorted him and dared to stage a hunger strike. I rebelled against him. It turns out to be you. Hearing what Zhao Feng did, Han Fei's eyes widened in shock. The death of Baoyuan and his son. He died in the hands of a Qin logistics soldier. He had heard the news. When the city was broken, he did not know who had broken it. King Han was captured, and he didn't know who it was, but Han Fei never expected that all this was done by one person. Zhao Feng smiled lightly and did not reply. All right. I'm too lazy to give you any nonsense. When I get you to the border, I won't care whether you live or die, but I will personally supervise your food these days. If you don't eat it, I'll force it on you. Zhao Feng was too lazy to say anything to Han Fei. He stood up and walked away slowly. As long as Han Fei doesn't go on a hunger strike and doesn't die on the way being escorted by him, Zhao Feng's goal will have been achieved. As for recruiting Han Fei for his own use, how is this possible? He was originally a dignified son of the Korean royal family, with a high position and great prestige in all countries in the world. No matter which country he went to, he was entrusted with important tasks, but he was ranked among the 9th ministers. This was due to his ability. That's exactly what it is. King Ying of Qin also valued Han Fei very much, precisely because of his outstanding abilities, and Qin State lacked such capable ministers. If Zhao Feng opened his mouth to recruit Han Fei, the latter would probably think that Zhao Feng was mentally ill. Zhao Feng knew exactly what kind of things he was doing at what level. The state of Qin really has countless talented people emerging. There is such an outstanding person. Han Fei stared at Zhao Feng's figure, feeling shocked in his heart, but then, Han Fei fell into a kind of self-doubt. Is it better for this world to be divided among various countries and have endless wars, or is it better to have China unified and China unified? That this sentence echoed in Han Fei's mind again. China is united and China is unified. There will be no more wars in China, and our Chinese ethnic group will be united. Is it really okay? Qin, can it really be done? If that day really comes, what will happen to the land of China? Seeing that day with my own eyes may be a special and magnificent scene. Han Fei thought to himself. There was no doubt that Zhao Feng's words also impacted him. Perhaps, this person is also cheap. In the beginning, when everyone cared about his life or death, he had to keep tight and pretend, but someone showed indifference, which actually impacted him even more, leaving him a little at a loss. Time flies. For days, one day earlier than Zhao Feng expected, he arrived at the place where Wang Jian was stationed and encamped. It was also the original border between Qin and Han, but now there is no border. Now that Han has died, the territory has become the territory of Qin. Zhao Feng led his men to the front of the camp. A military commander on duty immediately came up to greet him. Military order. The military lord said loudly. Zhao Feng immediately took out Li Ting's military order from his arms and handed it to the military commander in front of him. The dispatching of troops and horses all require military orders. After all, it's still wartime, and it's a taboo if the enemy pretends to be someone, so the military order is a proof of it. If Zhao Feng had no credentials at this moment, a large number of warriors would have come out directly. The military lord took the military order and opened it to take a look. I saw the general's seal on it and the order. He immediately bowed to Zhao Feng and said, "It turns out this is an order to escort Han Baiguan. These prisoners will be handed over to you directly, or what?" Zhao Feng asked, pointing to the prison car behind him. "Just hand it over directly to your subordinates." The Junho smiled and waved his hand. All the soldiers listened to the order, took over the prison car, and sent all the prisoners to the military camp for custody. The military marquis said loudly, "Promise." The warriors behind the military lord came over one after another and began to take over. "Captain Zhao. Let your brothers rest outside the military camp for the time being. Your subordinates will send people into the camp to prepare and then deliver them to you brothers." The military prince added. "Thank you." Zhao Feng nodded. "Right. Captain Zhao. General Wang has told me that after you send the prisoners, you will immediately enter the camp to meet the general." The military marquis said again. "Okay." Zhao Feng nodded. Li Ting specifically asked him to escort the prisoners, which was obviously Wang Jian's special instruction. "It's just right. This time I can also tell Wang Jian that I want to marry his daughter. There may be great resistance, but I have to do it." Looking at the military camp in front of him, Zhao Feng thought secretly in his heart, if nothing had happened with Wang Yan, Zhao Feng would naturally not do anything, but since it had already happened and they were already husband and wife, Zhao Feng had to do it. If he didn't face it because of fear, then Zhao Feng would be unworthy of being a man. Since he did it, Zhao Feng would never deny it, nor would he pull up his pants and not admit it. He is not the kind of person who will abandon someone after having sex. At this moment, one prisoner car after another went into the military camp. All of them were strictly escorted by sharp soldiers. When the prisoner car holding Han Fei passed by, Zhao Feng immediately felt Han Fei's strange look. Zhao Feng smiled slightly and walked forward. "I have sent it now. From now on, whether you want to starve yourself or commit suicide, it has nothing to do with me. I hope to see you again in the future," Zhao Feng said with a somewhat mischievous tone. "Don't worry, I will live well even if you die." Han Fei glared at Zhao Feng and replied unhappily, but seeing that he was not angry at all, he looked at Zhao Feng with a kind look, like a confidant. In the past few days, Zhao Feng came to provoke Han Fei whenever he had nothing to do, and also made Han Fei change his mind about committing suicide. Perhaps, Zhao Feng also had something in mind. If this historical record of the great achievements of the legalists could live, what kind of changes would it bring to the Qin dynasty? Or, Zhao Feng had something in mind, and he couldn't bear to see Han Fei die. P.S. Please recommend, please vote, please read, thank you very much.